Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Cupid's Coach podcast. I'm your host, Julie Ferman, inviting you to transform me to we through your own process of doing that thing we call dating a whole lot better than you used to. I'm glad you're here. And today I'm really excited because I've invited onto the show one of my dear, important, amazing colleagues who happens to live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Her name is Maggie Lamb. And I'm not going to tell you too much because I'm going to ask her to share who she is and how she got here. Welcome to the program, Maggie.
Hi, Julie. It's great to be here.
Well, we never get to spend enough time together because you and I are always busy bringing other people together.
We are. And when we're busy, it's all about connecting. So we never have time to chat. So this is great.
It is great. And that's one of the reasons why I created this podcast. I get a chance to have like amazing people all to myself for 45 minutes. It's beautiful. So, the reason I'm excited to share you with people, a lot of people know you already, especially in Santa Fe, but you are kind of like the epitome of a people connector. And so am I. But we do it a little differently. So, tell us, who you are, quickly your background, but more
Okay.
importantly, why you created this group. The name has changed, 1,800 members in your meetup group. So tell us about how that happened.
Yeah, I'm happy to share it because I have such a passion about connecting singles. I've lived in Santa Fe for over 20 years. I've been divorced twice, and it was about 2.5 years ago, close to three, that I went through my second divorce. And it was all about really restarting your life over as a single person. And how do you go about doing it in a world that's extremely disconnected? And so my focus was on learning the process of moving from being married to single. And so I jumped right into online dating because I'd never done it. And to me, the sooner you learn about how life works, the clearer your vision can be. Um, it wasn't working for me. And it was only focused on men, and I wanted to meet single women as well. And so I decided to create a meetup a little over 2 years ago. It started off with 15 people as my members, and I'm close to 2,000 now. So I'm really excited about the way it has grown. My name has changed. It's always evolving. And what's so interesting about that is I learn a lot from life experiences, my own personally, and also through singles. So my new name, which changed about 6 months ago, is called Local Singles. And my focus is about connecting singles locally because we do need to build community. And I have in-person events. I don't do anything online. Everything is face to face, which is so refreshing because the connections can be so much deeper and meaningful. And I want to create a community here in Santa Fe. And we're focused on friendships primarily, but people are also networking. They want to feel a part of something. And obviously, there is also dating and romance as well. So it brings me a
Beautiful.
lot of happiness to do what
I
I'm
can't
doing
believe it.
now.
It's only been 2 years since you built this thing. It seems like you're
Yeah.
just a fixture in Santa Fe now. It's remarkable. How many events do you think you've produced in 2 years, Maggie?
I think I've done, I can't quite remember that number. I looked at it recently. I think it's over 200. Um, during the summer months when we can use a lot of outdoor spaces, I average probably 10 to 12 a month. In the winter months, it's always one a week. So there's always something going on at some really cool venues here in Santa Fe because the location is just as important as the social that I've created.
Beautiful. And if you had to guess, how many people have created relationships through your group? Maybe it was a short-term relationship, couple months. Maybe some people are like still in that beautiful relationship. Any idea?
Well, it's hard to say because I don't always hear from my singles. Everyone's journey is different. And that's what's so beautiful about my group. Some are seeking friendships, some are wanting to be part of a community, others are networking, and then others are wanting all that and romance. So everyone's looking for different things. And my events are designed to meet you where you are to help you find what you're looking for. Um, I would say, maybe, and first of all, it's really hard to answer. The other thing is when you come to my socials, it's really important that you're not focused on just one thing. When you open up your heart, then magic happens. And so when I walk into these spaces, I'm not focused on, I'm looking for a partner. I'm looking for connection. And whatever that connection is will bring you love and happiness. And love comes in all different forms. I mean, I have singles getting together, women with women to go out to dinner, to the opera, to go hiking. Couples are getting together, maybe just as friends, which it can turn into even more. I do have couples that I know that are actively in relationships where some are living together, some are just dating. Um, but things evolve. And so, I mean, my focus isn't just on the romance part, but it's just about connecting because singles come to me and say, Maggie, what you're doing is so wonderful. But what they're doing for me is as wonderful as it is that I'm doing for them. So it has changed my life, and connections can change your life in so many amazing ways.
No question. I imagine that since you created this group 2 years ago, you haven't had very many lonely moments.
No, my my social life is amazing, but my private time is important too. But there's always someone to do something with, and I do things independently, and I'm always thinking about having singles a part of what I do socially, privately, but also bringing in new faces at the same time. Like I'm having something tonight at my house. It's a potluck and it's some regular singles, but some new faces too, because I think it's always important to always add newness into your life because we can always get in this rut where we're with the same people all the time, but we need to bring in new energy, new connections. That's what makes the life so much more interesting.
Absolutely. And I guess if you're having an event at your house, you have to cap it at a certain number
I
because you
do.
don't want everybody to know where you live.
I have to be a little more selective. Yes.
Beautiful. So there's something that I've seen over, I don't know, probably 1,000 events in 25 years that I've had my own company. And I see some patterns, and I bet you do too. And I'm curious where the intersections are. People that you see just maximizing the opportunities with your events, people who are just delighted with how it's gone. You've watched them blossom. You've watched them make a contribution to your group because of the energy they bring to your events. You've got some people in mind, I'm sure. What are the common denominators among the people who are getting so much out of this group?
Well, being focused on just whatever comes your way. I mean, that's essential and having an overall positive experience because again, if you're focused just on one category, you're really closing the doors into other possibilities that can come into your life because we all know other people. So that's number one. The other thing that I see that's so important is to come on a consistent basis. I mean, I have singles. There was, for example, this one guy that came to almost every social I had. And he was looking for a relationship, but he never gave up. So he would come anytime the door was open. And it probably took 6 to 8 months, but he came to one social. A single was there. It was her very first time, and they connected, and now they're in a wonderful relationship. So, my advice is that you don't give up. You're not going to connect with everyone, but you have to be open. You have to create conversation with the people around you and not be afraid because when you put yourself into spaces that are uncomfortable, that's when growth really happens. And I have really had to put myself out there because I am nothing like I was, 3 years ago. And boy, growth feels amazing. And as we get older, we feel that we need more purpose in our life.
Mhm.
What footprint are you going to make? And how are you going to help the people in our universe. And that's what's happened with me. I've really pushed myself into spaces I never thought I would. And my life has been so enriched. And if you become a part of my group, your life will also be enriched at so many different levels. One meaningful connection can change your life. But what will happen is you'll have many meaningful connections once you start building the community. And it's so important that we build right here where we live, because online dating, most of the interest is far away. And who has time for that? We want to meet people right here. And some people say, well, there's no one here. There is people here. There's lots of people here. You just got to come to my group. And what's so beautiful and especially challenging at the same time is when you're single and you want to meet people, going to a space where it's just people, from all over, not that we don't want to meet people with different backgrounds. There is beauty in coming to my socials where everyone is single and we're open to connection. How wonderful is that?
It's great. I that's the same purpose for why I started creating events. When I started in the dating industry, there really weren't any events um, other than the ones that were designed to make money for the host, or if they were designed by like the company Great Expectations, where my husband was a franchisee and I joined as a member initially. There were events only after I started doing them. At the beginning, there weren't any. So we would invite people to come and network in different ways than just studying a profile, looking at photos, putting the little VHS tape in the machine to watch it, right? And I started noticing that the people, I know you see this, who are practicing their social skills, practicing what I think is the most important part of being at an event. It's not to be focused on what am I going to get out of this? Am I going to meet my person? Just like you said, if I see Maggie at an event and then Maggie and I hold eye contact and I get a chance to talk with Maggie, I never fail to have a great time and a productive time if my purpose is to bring a smile to your face, find out about you. The energy's over there. I'm interested in who is Maggie, not, well, how do I feel? And is there anybody here for me? And how am I looking to other people? That self-consciousness kills magnetism, right?
Right.
There's something cute, as I was getting ready for our interview, I did with you when I first met you, the same as I do with everyone, people who are single, and I don't know your status at the moment, but back then you were single. And I loved the way you answered your goals paragraph. Would it be okay with you if I share it?
Sure. I don't even remember what that was, but it would be
Of
interesting to
course
hear
you
that
don't.
again.
Of course you don't, because it's just naturally who you are and it flowed so beautifully. I wanted to share it. You said, goals should stretch you out of your comfort zone, not a comfortable place to be, but that's personal growth. During this transition in my life, being single for the first time after 35 plus years of being in relationships has definitely placed me in a space of growth. Even though this transition has been challenging, I've chosen to focus on all the positive aspects of my life. Gratitude has an amazing transformative power. Having the right mindset has had such a positive impact on my life. And let's see if there's anything else I wanted to share. You're looking forward to traveling more, focusing on health and well-being, spending more time with your daughters, sharing time with a special someone. I have so much love to give. It's
Wow,
beautiful.
I love that. It's interesting how our journey goes throughout our life, and that difficult events that happen, such as my last divorce, how it turned into something so positive. I couldn't imagine not having the life that I have right now. But it's important that you have the right mindset, and that you focus on how difficulty can turn into something so beautiful, how you can't give up, how when you look back at your life, as we get older, and there's a lot of reflection now with me, it's not going to be about, what you own, the car you drive, your success. It's all about all the connections that you have in your life with those human connections. And I label myself as a connector. My focus is to bring more love and happiness into this world. And it's just an amazing process. And I'm just so thankful for my singles and how they're there. They're wanting to meet people. And it's so difficult in a world that's being so disconnected with, online options. It's really hard and uncomfortable to just go up to someone and start talking to them in a public place. But the one thing about my singles community is that we're all open to connections. You've just got to make that first step to come and to keep coming. You
Mhm.
cannot give up.
That's exactly right. And there's a certain type of person that I think doesn't do as well as others. And they come to your events, they come to my events, and sometimes I'll hear when I ask people, "Are you doing meetup groups?" Yeah, but it's just the same people over and over again. And I'm thinking, I don't think so. But then I want to say to them, well, you're there. You're still there, right? And if they're coming from that place, like what's in it for me? Is my person in the room? You're absolutely right, Maggie. They're
Well,
just a tiny sliver of possibility are they even acknowledging?
Well, that is funny. I hear that too. Well, it is the same people. Well, first of all, there's comfort in seeing familiar faces. I love that. But there's always new people coming in. I always have new singles at every single one of my events. It is a revolving door. I have singles that I haven't seen in a while, which I miss so much. But when I reach out, they'll say, well, I'm sort of in a relationship right now, which is it's sad for me, but wonderful for them. But then things change and then they come back. My door is always open. So it is a revolving door. And what happens is if you miss one of my socials, you miss the possibility of one or two connections of new people coming in. So it's important just to stick with it and just keep coming.
Well, we have an event happening in about a week. This recording will air on Tuesday, and that will be the 3rd of February. And on the 6th, which is Friday, in Santa Fe, New Mexico, at La Posada, you and I are doing our second big event. The last time we did this, it was at La Posada. You have to make your reservation in advance. I'm guessing it will perhaps sell out. Sometimes it does. We had 180 people last time.
Right.
How many this time? I just sent out blast number 2 to all my people. How many people are on the RSVP list?
Well, it's about 160 right now. I'm going to do a blast on Monday as well. It's going to be an amazing event, lots of energy. We have some new connection activities that we're going to be doing to make it easy. And if you're a first-time single, you can sign up for a VIP service so that we've got your back. We can connect you immediately to a single that's been in my community for a while. We have a DJ coming in, so we'll have dancing later on. Of course, a professional photographer. It's going to be an amazing night. I'm looking forward to it because the month of love is right around the corner.
So, what's your advice? I know you've shared this with your people a million times, but if someone's coming to your event, what are the 2 or 3 things that you would really like for them to have front of mind as they prepare for the event and as they walk in the door and about an hour later as they're looking around? What would you really encourage them to be doing?
Well, obviously, smiling is the best way to connect and eye contact. I mean, it just brings such a joyful level to their personality and just going up to people and introducing yourself. Everyone has name tags. If it's your first time, you'll have a red dot, so you'll get some extra attention because we want first timers to make sure that they feel welcome and just being open to the possibilities of what this can bring to you in your life. And it's okay to exchange phone numbers if you're feeling a connection with someone. Have your card. Just say, here's my card if you want to connect for coffee. keep that door open because this is the time to network. And then once you start making these connections on the next event you come to, you'll already have familiar faces that you can reconnect with.
Beautiful. I really encourage everybody, and I know you do too, to have some type of a card that they can share with someone that is intriguing to them. Nice to meet you, Maggie. Here's how to find me. And it might be a business card, but for a lot of women, they really, and some men too, people who are in a very visible place in the community, people in the high net worth category, people who are recognizable or highly private, somebody who's a marriage and family therapist, somebody who's a psychologist who owns a law firm, who knows what their reasons would be for wanting to keep things kind of private. So I like to encourage people to have a calling card, and it's not too late to create one. You can go to Vistaprint or someplace like that, and uprinting.com I've used, and all it needs to have is your first name and a phone number. I suggest, if you want privacy and you don't want people to Google you and find out how old you are and the value of your home, all this information that's readily available online, then use a Google Voice number. Anybody with a Gmail account can have a free Google Voice number, and it might say
Right.
Maggie and your phone number. And I'm like, "Ooh, who's this Maggie lady?" And I go and I check you out, and I can't find anything about you. That's a good thing. I don't know if you know this. You're probably experiencing this in your world as well. The older people are, men and women both, the more likely they are to prefer dating younger. And this is not just men anymore. A lot of the ladies in our world are asking me for 5 to 10 years younger, maybe a few years older. The challenge there is that it's like the guys haven't gotten the memo yet. And so, how I'm finding that I can make these introductions happen is if we're not revealing age on my matchmaking profiles,
Right.
and if we're not
I,
providing information that reveals your age online.
well, I mean, I'm seeing that too. But what I think is most important and meeting in person is where you're going to find this, not online, is that it is all about the energy of that individual. It's not based on a number. And you don't know that with the online options. That's what's so beautiful about in-person connections.
Yeah.
You're basing everything on the way the person looks. It's just the wrong way to do it. Um, so it is a challenge. People need to be open.
Yes, definitely. And with the underlying foundational philosophy being contribute. What can I contribute to this event? Whose face can I bring a smile to? Look for the person who looks uncomfortable. Maybe we would call them a wallflower. Go look for those people and
Right.
make them feel comfortable, especially early in the evening. I recommend people arrive early, look around, pretend they're Maggie's assistant, pretend they're Maggie's volunteer hostess. Sometimes at an event where I'll have trays of appetizers or something, I'll give one of these trays to somebody who's looking a little uncomfortable, and I'll say, "I have a job for you. Nobody's eating the food. Would you like to go around and offer it to different people?" And I watch the transformation because we
Yeah,
have
that's
something.
great.
Yeah.
And I'm there. I'm always looking for people that look a little uncomfortable, or especially if it's their first time. It
Mhm.
is challenging to walk into a space where you don't know anyone. But the fact that you have the courage to show up is an amazing transformation. And then you just got to take that next step. But I am there watching your back to try to connect you. But I also have people, helpers that I can assign you to help you navigate into the space and introduce you to other singles.
For a $15 fee to go to the event, you do all of that.
Yes, I do. I mean, my focus is happiness in this world of just disconnect. So, and I'm really excited to share with your audience. I have a website that I just created that is information based for people to know more about my singles community. It is officially launching on Monday, but it is up live as of today,
I
and
don't find it.
it's called localsingles.me. It gives, you can also now sign up for events on my website. There's two ways to sign up, Meetup, and then localsingles.me. So two different platforms. You don't have to be a member of Meetup, but it's an information based. There's testimonials. There's a tab for people to advertise their business because it's a different way to connect
Yeah.
through our services, our talents, where you can show people what you have available. There's what to expect at an event. What type of socials do I have? How this local singles community started. There's pictures of what our singles look like. And that's always being updated. There's ways to stay connected with me. So I'm really excited about this, to launch this during February and the month of love.
I love it. I'm going to check it out. And I would love to be one of your advertisers. It was occurring to me as you were opening up the conversation about this new website that there's a beautiful opportunity for sponsorships, not only to serve you professionally. Most of us who are doing this type of work are not making a lot of money doing it, but you deserve to be compensated and well for the people who can find us through you. So I love that. I'll check it out. Um, I was thinking about this one event that I did. It was off Marcy Street at a store that doesn't exist by the same name anymore. And I had about 50 or 60 people there. And I can't invite everybody to all of my events. I've registered, 1,500 people since I started in Santa Fe, which was like 8 years ago. And they're privately registered in my community, but they're not available for browsing. So, probably not unlike you, if I've got an event that I want to invite people to, but I can't have 400 people at the event, I have to choose who I'm going to invite. I choose the people who have engaged the most with me. They've either
Right.
been my matchmaking clients, they've been in my boot camp classes. Anybody who's been in my boot camp classes, the 30-day virtual program, I will go to the ends of the earth for these people. Why? Because
Right.
they're growers. They're growers. They want to
Right.
contribute. They want to learn how to do this thing better. They want to get it right. And they're open. They're not closed. They're not the people who are complaining, bitching, moaning, whining about how awful it is to be single, right? Especially in Santa Fe. I told you when I first met you, Maggie, that when I first moved to Santa Fe, which was 2016, I believed the word on the street like an idiot. And the word on the street, I bet you've heard it, there are people spreading this. They are saying, Santa Fe's a horrible place to be single, and there sure as heck aren't any good single men. Have you heard the rumor, Maggie?
I have, and that's so wrong. I have to say that Santa Fe is unique in so many ways, and the people is really what drives this community. It's people from all different backgrounds. I am amazed at when I really get to know someone, their life experience, there's occupation, what they've done in this world, and they move here from all over the world. So my singles are very motivated, very diverse individuals that you would never even guess that, they were the CEO of a company. And what I love also about that is that I cater socials where you really get to know people. So I know this event that we're having next week is one of the biggest events of the year. We'll get probably close to 200 or more, but I also do small group socials. And the reason I formed that is because I felt like with the larger socials, it's a little more superficial where you don't get to know singles at a very deep, meaningful way. So I decided to create socials for 12 people. It's always structured, which makes it easy. You come into a space, I lead the group, and you really, really get to know people in such a deep, meaningful way. And that is amazing. It's
I've
called
heard
12
great things.
Connections in 1.5 hours.
12 connections in 1.5 hours. It's right along the lines of what I love to see people doing. And I have heard from clients and people in my community that they've really appreciated those. And one of the things that I heard from somebody who was in my boot camp who follows your events and goes to a lot of them is that the small events have enabled her to create connections she otherwise never would have had. And she feels a lot less lonely in town because she's been to several of them. So that means probably 20, 30, 40 people that she's met in this impactful, meaningful way. So when she sees them at Sprouts or at the
Mhm.
Department of Motor Vehicles or something like that, she's like, wait a minute, you were in one of Maggie's groups. Nice to see you again. It builds community. And I want to thank you for that.
It does. It's a wonderful way to connect. And it's nice that when you come into that space in the smaller group, is that you don't have to worry about how am I going to navigate this. I've got you, I've got it covered for you. Um, and the activities that we do really create deep connections. And a lot of it is just one-on-one, and we do rotations. So you have about 5 to 8 minutes to connect with just one other person. You carry on conversations, you get to know them, and then a rotation happens where you're connecting with another person. But it just helps to have that structure so that when you go in, you don't have to worry about, oh my God, how am I going to do this?
And also, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like the one-on-one conversations are not just a man and a woman for the purpose of do we match, like speed dating. It's more like, aren't there times when a woman is talking with a woman and then maybe there's a new friendship? It's not just find my person.
Exactly. It's all about connecting with men and women. So I'm not pairing up people by the opposite sex. It's a flow of a combination of connections because men need to form connections with other men, just like women need to form connections with other women. And when you start creating these connections in your life, it gives you someone, my hope is after they come to my social, that they're connecting outside of my socials. That is my goal. And when I hear people doing that, it's like, yes, I've achieved exactly what I needed to. So that brings me happiness at so many different levels.
You and I are cut from the same cloth. That event that I was talking about off of Marcy Street, I remember this gentleman came, and you may remember I've probably done this with you, my Zoom consultation, where I pull a group of people and we look at them together over Zoom, and it gives me a chance to check their picker, right? Because people call me, they register with me, they're thinking, I hate this online dating. I hate being single. I hate everything. Maybe I'll just have a matchmaker and just do it all for me. It's not that easy, right? So when we do the consultation, that's where the rubber meets the road. And I get to find out if they have a broad interpretation of who might be an interesting person to know, or if they're on a mission to meet the it guy or the it girl, right? The person who just pops off the screen. So if I have somebody like that, I did an interview on Monday with a gentleman who wanted to hire me as his matchmaker, and I could not take him on because his level of selectivity was so specific. And it was like he was wanting to order up a certain kind of custom made Porsche, right? I need this, I need
Right,
this, I need this. There's a lady
right.
on my schedule today, same thing. She's looking for and she's got it in her mind. Well, that person is fictitious. So everybody who's real is in direct competition with the fictitious image, which is sometimes unintentionally thoroughly unrealistic because they never have to open their heart. They never have to fail because they're not letting anybody in. That's a defense mechanism, right?
That's so true. And you know, something that's evolved in my life at a personal level is when you have so many different boxes that you need checked, obviously that's limiting our life. And of course, you know, as we get older, we do get a little more pickier about what we want and what we don't want. But this is the way I'm looking at life. And it's really opened up doors for me that would not have happened if I didn't have this mindset. And the mindset that I have right now is that I look at an individual and I find what boxes they check that I'm looking for, whether it's friendship, networking, romance, a deeper relationship. And I extract what they bring into my life that brings happiness. And I embrace that versus walking away from someone that can bring so much to your life, but it might not be everything that you want, but there are things there that can enhance your life. So don't close the door. Take advantage of what they can bring in your life and embrace that and enjoy
Well,
whatever that is.
that is absolutely right. And what you're talking about is what we call looking for the green flags instead of the red flags. And of course,
Yes.
here you are wearing a green top with a heart in the middle. It's perfect. So, okay, this guy shows up at this event. And the reason I brought him up is because he's basically the it guy for so many women. And I don't see he's so special. Yeah, he's really tall. Yeah, he's really good looking. Yeah, he's really charismatic. And he seems like the kind of guy that, he's like, if there's a Barbie, there's a Ken. So he's Ken. And
Okay.
I hadn't met him in person. He hadn't chosen to do my Zoom consultation. He didn't need any coaching, of course, because he's already, the it guy. So I don't know him that well, but I wanted to see him. I wanted to see if he looks like his photos. I wanted to see how he interacts. Is this guy really the it guy? Let's see how he shows up. So I'll never forget it. He shows up at the event. He's about 45 minutes late. I spot him because he's the tallest guy in the room. I waved at him and he kind of waved at me. He went over, got himself a drink, drank it quickly, got a pile of food, ate it quickly, was looking around the room, said hi to a super cute young girl who was, 20 years younger than he was. And I watched him. He went over to another beautiful woman, significantly younger, not looking for him, right? He's going up to the women in their 30s who I happen to know are looking for marriage and babies. Does he want marriage and babies? No, he's 57. He's already had his kids, right? So what he's looking for is an unnatural match. The woman
Right.
he's looking for is not looking for him. And the women who are looking for him, he doesn't even see them, right? So it's a big problem in the world of matchmaking if I'm on a Zoom call like this and I see that somebody's only going for the it guy or the it girl. Because the problem with our society now, with the swiping and the media and all the visuals and how quickly everybody makes their decisions now, the same three girls get picked all day long and the same three guys, and they're not the best suited for lasting relationships. And all that attention spoils them. We wonder how narcissism happens.
You're right.
Everything
I
comes from
think the
reason.
I think the women should be looking for the guy behind the it guy.
What you mean? Yeah, like, okay, there's the it guy. I know he's not it. Who's on the other side of him, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's so important that when you are making connections, and I do hear this complaint from my singles that the conversation is one-sided. It's so important to have a balanced conversation. I actually prefer to talk less and hear more what they have to say, but you do need to ask questions from both sides. And so I think when you're trying to connect, you really need to work hard to learn as much about them as they are wanting to learn about you.
Yeah, and I challenge people. Think outside your usual dialogue. Think outside your usual stories, especially people who are chatty or they're in sales or they're just good at impressing people. Maybe they're good at public speaking, something like that. I fall into that category. Perhaps you do too. There's a trap where we just sort of jump into our usual stories, right? I heard about it this week in office hours for my boot camp class. A lady was talking about how she met a guy at a furniture store and she had this lovely conversation with him, but then she realized 20 minutes later, she knew all the things about him, but he hadn't asked her anything about
Mhm.
herself, right? But she had the courage. We practiced the art of social engagement and taking people home. So she knew she had her little calling card in her pocket. And she said, "Nice to meet you today, Stan. Here's how to find me." And she didn't know if he was single or not. She suspected that he was. And she said, "By the way, my friends and I plan some really fun events. If you happen to be single, we'll invite you." She's practicing learning how to say that. The first time she said she had to trip over her tongue, but now she's getting good at it. So this
That's
guy
right.
took her car, and sure enough, he sent her a text message saying, "Hey, it was great fun to meet you. How about we meet up for coffee?" So they did. he told her the same stories.
Oh, goodness.
So he's got his just stuff that he just spews out and he's not even present. He's not
Right.
even paying attention. But she considered him as a possibility. She's practicing being open because he's not going to be her person. But you know what? He plays pickleball and she wants to learn how to play pickleball. So the next time they get together, it will be for a beginner pickleball thing. He'll be over there with the advanced people and she'll be there at the beginners, and they have a friendship that they're building. That's a win, right?
Right, right. And the fact that she's practicing, getting out of her comfort space. And the more you do that, the more it becomes comfortable for you. I mean, I remember when I was going into coffee shops, trying to share my singles group with new faces, having a card and just going up to a stranger and saying, "Hi, I'm Maggie. I've started this singles group. Are you single or know of someone that is single?" And putting yourself into those spaces is not the easiest thing to do. But once you do it more and more, it becomes like just getting up each morning, and brushing your teeth.
I'm thinking about a lady named Cami who I know through my Southern California division. And she went to one of our events in Westlake Village, and she had never been to anything like a singles event before. But she was willing to practice. I did a coaching call with her before to kind of, give her the lay of the land, and she did really well. And she did the boot camp and she started practicing doing what you're saying, Maggie. She started saying to people, "Oh, by the way, you should know, I'm venturing into the world of dating. I'm just letting you know in case you happen to know somebody who would love to have someone like me in his life." She couldn't get the words out. She had a really hard time. She was stumbling over the words. So she looked in the mirror and she practiced it. She practiced it as she's driving in her car. I do the same thing when I'm preparing for a speaking engagement. You probably do too, where we just practice it so we won't have to look at our notes.
Right.
So that's what she's been doing. And she's getting referrals from people who know her and care about her and say, "Well, my boss is single. Maybe I should." And she has a profile with me. And I gave her the link to it so she could just forward it to someone and say, "If you have somebody in mind for me, here's the link, share it." And that it's working like magic for her.
Well, something I did recently, and I have to laugh about it because it's something I never thought I would have done, is I'm DJing for my singles meetup socials. And I said to my two daughters recently, "Would you have ever thought your mom would have been a DJer?" I mean, I'm not a professional DJer, but I'm pretty good at what I do. But it's interesting how your path changes course and you find solutions on how to fix things. And that's an example of one.
If somebody had told you 5 years ago, like flash forward, and we had a video of Maggie doing her DJing with like 100 people in the room or something, you would not have believed it.
No, I would have never believed probably anything that I'm doing right now because, I thought my marriage was forever. But it's so important to make sure, and I find that with relationships, that sometimes your growth changes in your life. And it's so important that you never stop growing independently if you're in a relationship. But what happens is sometimes your focus changes and you're not growing. And as you get older, you need this growth. You need to be learning new things. This website that I have up and running is a website I created myself. It took a lot of time to do it. I'd never done it before, but now I've created my own very own website. So again, that's something new that I did. And it's very empowering when you do these things or go to my socials when you might not feel comfortable, but you did it.
That's
And
right.
it'll be easier the second time around.
Absolutely. I just love it. So tell anybody who's listening who has the time, if they're listening to this podcast in current time, they have an opportunity to go to the party. So how do they find your party and how do they make a reservation so they can get in?
All right, so now there's two ways. My new website, localsingles.me, is one way to sign up. And then Meetup, if you're a member on that, It's local singles. You can find me on the Meetup app, and you can sign up there as well.
Great. And they pay in advance or they pay at the door?
They pay at the door. It's $15 to cover the expense of the event.
So
Most of
you're
my
going to have to
events,
have, oh boy, I admire you, Maggie. I remember doing these big events in Los Angeles, and I usually did $15 in advance, 20 at the door. I had to have an army of people at the registration to capture the money and process credit cards and take cash or whatever, and somebody watching over that cash to make sure nobody ran off with it. I mean, it was a big deal.
yes.
I don't have the bandwidth to do it anymore. God bless you for having it. You're going to have a bunch of people helping you at the door.
Yes, I do have volunteers. Cash, Venmo, or check are the types of payment. To attend my events, normally it's just $5, but because this is at La Posada and we have a lot going on, that's why it's more than the normal amount.
Good. I just love it. I'm so impressed and delighted to call you my friend and my colleague. You're making a big splash in Santa Fe. We both are. And I know that Santa Fe is a warmer, more lovely place to live and to visit because you're there and I'm there.
It's worth moving here because of my singles community. Connection isn't just social, it's essential to your health.
Yeah, and the people who want to make a big impact in their lives through participating, they should volunteer. They should volunteer. Don't you see that the people who help you and volunteer are getting the most out of it?
They are. I mean, it's so nice to have my regular volunteers. I'm always getting new ones too, but they're here to support me just by coming and also volunteering. And it's a rotation process, so they're not stuck at the check-in counter the whole entire time. But I couldn't do it
Very good.
without them.
All right. Well, I'm your biggest fan, probably, except for maybe couples that met through you. They would be even bigger fans.
Probably, yes. Thanks,
I
Julie.
will
It's
see you
yeah,
on a week from today. I'm so excited. And thank you for everything you're doing, Maggie. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, you go out there and do some of this stuff to transform me to we. And if you live in Santa Fe or you visit Santa Fe, jump in on Maggie's group. And how you know when you're going to visit is when there's something fun happening in Maggie's group and you've already got some things on your calendar. So there's your idea for the day. Thanks for listening, folks. We'll see you next time and go out there and use these philosophies to transform me to we for yourself. Thanks, Maggie.
bye-bye.